about to expose the biggest lies people told me about Singapore, and one of them actually cost me thousands of dollars. So before moving here, everyone said, Singapore is boring, you won't make any friends, it's way too expensive. And I've been here for 3 years and I need to set the record straight because some of this is completely false and some is actually worse than I thought. Chapter 1. Singapore is boring, and this makes me so angry. That's what I've been told before coming here, and now I can really say it is not true.
No!
Whenever people say this to me, I'm just like, maybe you are boring. Hear me out. There are so many rotating exhibitions, a lot of concerts, endless food to explore. You can find nature hikes. You can even go to the beach on Sentosa. Every week, there's actually something new happening. Is it new restaurants opening? Maybe there's a pop-up events. There's art installations, which are oftentimes free. The city is really constantly changing. I can recommend downloading the app Fever, where you can find lots of exciting things to do and directly book on the app. Just last week, I booked my Universal Studio tickets on Fever, and I also booked tickets for a candlelight concert for when my mom and my brother are visiting very soon. So I will leave the link in the description because there you can see all the offers they have and book directly. Also on Sentosa, you can go luging, you can do bungee jumping, there are different beach clubs. Yeah, lots to explore. Oh, and also the food scene alone. There are so many restaurants and hawker centers to explore. I will probably never be able to try all the food stalls that I want to, even if I lived here for probably the next 50 years. So again, the food scene is constantly changing and the hawker stalls are just the best thing to explore local food. You have the cinema, there are rooftop bars, escape rooms, art galleries. You can go to the Universal Studios, the zoo. They have a night safari. Honestly, yeah, again, you can see there is literally something for everyone. And if you are born in Singapore, that's really on you and not on the city to blame. And if you're into clubbing, you have lots of cool bars around Tanjong Pagar, Club Street. You have Clarke Quay with lots of karaoke bars. And at Marina Bay Sands, there is a nightclub called Marquee with a Ferris wheel inside. When I first saw this, I couldn't believe my eyes. It's actually really cool. So you really cannot say Singapore is boring. Also, if you are into nature, there are so many parks and nature reserves. For example, MacRitchie Nature Reserve, or if you just take the ferry from Changi Point Ferry Terminal, you can go to Pulau Ubin, which only takes you around 10 minutes by ferry, and you get great nature. And then obviously there is Sungai Buloh Wetland Reserve, where you can spot wildlife crocodiles. So again, for such a small country, there's so much to explore and a lot of green spaces as well. Chapter 2. You won't make friends with locals. This is something that really surprised me. The expectation is often that you will only hang out with other expats and that locals don't really want to make friends with foreigners. But this is really so not true. 80% of my friends are now actually locals. I don't know if this has to do with my job, being a full-time creator where people are naturally more outgoing and easy to connect with, but it's actually also not really hard to make friends out of my job. I was just at Strong Pilates the other day and there was this girl next to me and we looked at each other during the class. We suffered so much. And then we kind of started talking about the class, whether or not she comes here often. And then she was like, oh, next time you come here, drop me a text. We can go together and suffer again together. This would have been a perfect opportunity to ask her to go for coffee next time. That is an easy example on how to make friends. You just gotta be open for it. So this simply proves that the expectation that locals don't want to be friends with expats is definitely not true. Another thing I noticed actually is that Singaporeans are really curious about expats and the perspectives on Singapore. They really want to hear what we think about their country, and it makes it really easy to start a conversation. Talking about Singapore is really easy. And there are also a lot of interest-based communities. For example, sports clubs, book clubs, run clubs, there are a few. If you put yourself out there and join the activities that you like, you will connect with like-minded people and it will be really easy for you to make friends. Just keep an eye open and be willing to make the first move. Again, nothing will happen if you just sit at home and watch TV. Nobody's gonna knock on your door. But if you put yourself out there, I really think Singaporeans are very outgoing and welcoming. Chapter 3. Singapore is so expensive, and you've probably heard this a million times, and I hear this all the time. But I really want to talk about this and give you some examples to prove to you that this is Not true. Yes, okay, rental prices are expensive, but the cost of living, if you make the right choices, can actually be really affordable and way more affordable than life in Switzerland, where I come from, or other big cities like New York City, for sure. Let me give you some examples. If you go grocery shopping, yes, there is cold storage, which is very expensive, but there are so many cheaper options, and you can find a lot of good deals on Lazada, Redmart. You can shop online on Shopee. FairPrice has a good online store with offers. And then you can also go to wet markets. There's a really nice one in Chinatown where you can buy cheap vegetables and fruits. Then of course, if you want to eat out, you can eat at hawker centers, where a plate of chicken rice, my absolute favorite local food, is between 3.50 and 5 Singapore dollars. For a single person, it's really often so much cheaper to eat out than actually do grocery shopping and cook. So that's pretty cool. I can always eat out and still save money. I haven't been cooking in, I don't know, 2 or 3 years already now. If I compare Switzerland and Singapore, in Switzerland, a single cucumber is like $4, and here you can get a full meal for $4. If you compare eating out in Switzerland and Singapore, in here you can get a meal between $15 and $20. In Switzerland, that would be 40 to 50 Swiss francs, which is 60 to 70 Singapore dollars for, you know, not even a fancy meal out. Then we have obviously MRT, which is very affordable in Singapore. 150 for one single ride is so much cheaper than in Switzerland. Let me give you an example here. You take the train from my hometown to the city, which is a 15-minute train ride, and it cost me 9 Singapore dollars. That is 18 Singapore dollars just to go into the city and back, and I haven't done anything in the city. So if I buy coffee for $10, that's almost 30 bucks for just having coffee. In Singapore, you spend maximum $3 a day on public transport, and you can get really far. Also, for activities, there are a lot of free options. The beaches in Sentosa, botanic gardens, temples at Chinatown, museums have free exhibitions, and if you're PR, you know, the National Gallery is free for you. You can walk around Marina Bay, explore gardens by the bay, check out different neighborhoods. Honestly, the list is endless. I just posted a video on my Instagram with 15 free things to do. I will link it up here, so check that out. But of course, if you shop on Orchard Road and if you have a penthouse, then it's very expensive. And if you want to buy a car, it's super, super expensive. I think it's the most expensive place in the world to own a car. But you don't need a car. As mentioned, public transport is super efficient and very, very cheap. To summarize this, yes, if you make the wrong choices and if you live in fancy places and just go to fancy restaurants, it is expensive, but that's with any other place as well. But in here, you actually have the option to choose more affordable things, which are, in my opinion, sometimes even better. So I would always prefer chicken rice over a foie gras oysters platter for $50. Well, maybe that's just me. Number 4, crazy rental price. And I hate to break it to you, but yes, it is actually very true. Especially when I moved to Singapore in 2022, next week, it's exactly 3 years ago, it had reached a peak where it has been the highest rental prices in a very, very long time. They were always more expensive than back in Zurich. And the problem is that you often have to commit to a 2-year contract. But signing a 2-year contract is the only possible way to negotiate your price a little bit down. Some of my friends here in Singapore, they actually got an increase of their rent by 60%. So that was from 3,500. They suddenly asked them to pay 5,500. So that is $2,000 more. So if you do the math, that's actually thousands of dollars for another 2 years. That's actually $25,000 just because you wanted to renew your lease. That's insane. So this is also why I said it cost me thousands of dollars money, because when I moved here in 2022, we had reached a peak and we did not have much choice. We needed an apartment and we didn't know that we could negotiate the fee a little bit down. So looking back, that really cost me extra few $100 per month for 2 years. In the meantime, the prices have stabilized a bit and they're coming down. So that is good news. What's actually not true, what's a lie, is that it's hard to find a place, because there are so many apartments available and it's really easy and fast to rent one. For us, we came here, we saw a few apartments in one day, we chose one, and the next day we could just move in. So it was super straightforward. I made a detailed YouTube video about how to find an apartment and what to look out for. I will link it here. But again, it's really not difficult. And you also have a lot of options in prices depending on the location you choose. Chapter 5, work-life balance. And that is something I don't really hear a lot of people talking about. I heard that before I came here that Singapore has a very bad work-life balance and that everyone works crazy hours and this is just like a real hustle culture. And I can say that's actually quite true from my perspective. Singapore employees work an average of 42.6 hours per week. And if you work in finance or consulting, the hours can be super brutal. I have friends who work until 11 or 12 p.m. on a daily basis. But what shocked me the most was I'm getting work emails at 1 or 2 a.m. on a regular basis. Even on the weekends, people work on the weekends, and that's quite usual. In Switzerland, I would never get work emails after like 8 p.m. 33% of workers actually say that they work overtime because bosses and colleagues send emails and text messages at night, and yeah, they just feel the pressure of answering them. In Switzerland, it's a bit more relaxed in my opinion because you have Sunday, which is a rest day. Everything is closed and people actually take the time and go into the nature and spend time with their family. I think that's quite nice. Chapter 6, 365 days of summer. So this one seems obvious, but wait till you hear what I didn't expect. 365 days of the year, you have tropical climate. That is true. But I was not expecting to see differences in rain and heat. There is a rainy season from November to January where you can really see that it rains a lot more often. Once a day minimum, 15 to 20 minutes, but it can also just rain a full day, 2 days in a row, and it wouldn't even stop. And then you have the hot season as well, which is between May and July, where you can really see that it's a lot hotter during the day, not a lot of rain. It's even, hotter than the rest of the year. Stepping outside really feels like stepping into an oven. But I don't mind at all. You will never hear me complain about the weather. I'm probably the only person in Singapore who just genuinely loves the weather all year round. So this place really is for me. And thinking about having to go back in a country like Switzerland where it's so cold most of the time, it's just a nightmare for me. So yeah, those are the biggest lies about Singapore. Some turn out to be completely false, and some like rental prices are actually true, and you just gotta be prepared for it. So if you want to see more of what I do and where to find the best hawker food, what gym places I can recommend, what Pilates classes, or how to make friends, just check out my Instagram called Swizzyinsg. And if you have more questions, always drop me a DM. I will answer every single one of them. If you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe because it really helps my channel to produce more free content for you. And watch this video up next because the algorithm thinks you might like it. See you in the next one.